Hi, today I'm going to show you how to change the engine air filter, the fuel filter, and the cabin filter on a diesel Hyundai Terracan Highlander. This is a pretty easy job. You'll only either need a 12mm socket and ratchet or a 12mm spanner. This is for the nut that holds the fuel filter in place. You'll also need a screwdriver, Phillips head. I have a ratcheting one, but you can also just use a standard screwdriver as well. Let's start by opening up the bonnet. We're going to start with the fuel filter first, which is on the right hand side, just in front of the battery. I'm just going to put down a towel, just to catch any fluids that might spill. And we're going to start by removing the hoses which go into the fuel filter first, which you do by simply pressing in the two tabs either side and pulling up. Next, you want to take your 12mm socket or spanner and undo the nut which is clamping the fuel filter in place. The fuel filter is now loose, but we have to disconnect the water sensor underneath before we pull it out first. Follow the wiring down from the water sensor to find the plug. You just need to lift the clip up and then pull the plug apart. Now we can remove the fuel filter. Let's have a look at our new fuel filter. You'll notice this one doesn't have a water sensor attached to it. That's because we have to transfer the water sensor from the old fuel filter across to the new fuel filter. Start by simply unscrewing the water sensor. We will also remove the bung from the new filter. Before we put the water sensor in, we need to clean it and change the O-ring on it. If you have a look at the bung that came with the new filter, you'll find that it actually comes with a new O-ring as well. So we're going to take that out and swap it on the water sensor. Now we can screw the water sensor into the new filter. It can be a good idea to add a water displacing spray or grease onto the O-ring for an extra seal. For reinstalling, we're just going to do the reverse steps of what we did to take it out. So we're going to slide the fuel filter back into the bracket. We're going to connect the water sensor plug. Tighten up that 12mm nut to clamp the fuel filter again. Now we can connect the lines back to the fuel filter. So the arrow pointing towards the red cap is fuel coming from the tank to the filter. The arrow pointing away from the red cap is fuel leaving the filter to the high pressure pump. And the line that plugs onto the yellow cap is a return line. I might create another video explaining in further detail how the fuel system works and why exactly is there 3 ports into the diesel fuel filter. Once we have everything connected, we need to fill the filter with fuel by squeezing the priming bulb on the side about 20 to 30 times, or when you feel it get hard and full of fuel. And then that's it, you're done. Now we can move on to the air filter on the other side of the engine. This one's pretty easy. Undo the clips on the front of the airbox, lift the airbox up and pull it forward. Then pull up the air filter and simply pull it out. There's no special instructions for swapping the air filter, you just put it in place of the old one in the airbox. And these steps are the reverse of how we did it, so slide the air filter in first, make sure the back of the airbox lines up the tabs into the slots, and then you can close the front of the airbox down and pull those clips to secure it. Done. Now to close the engine bay and head in and change the cabin filter. The cabin filter is located behind the glove box on the passenger side, and first we need to remove the cover underneath the glove box by unscrewing the 3 screws on the front and prying out the flat screw using a blade. Next we need to open up the glove box and pull it out of the way to access the cabin filter. This is done by pushing the sides of the glove box in towards the center to release it from the dash. You next have to remove the string which holds the glove box up. It's just a T-piece which you can pull forward and slip out the hole. This will allow you to pull the glove box all the way down out of the way. Now we can expose our cabin filter. We need to remove the door on top by rotating the pin and pulling it up. This will allow you to remove this top hatch. The Terracan Highlander cabin filter comes in 2 pieces due to the position of the glove box. So you have to pull out the top piece first, which you can see is super dirty, and then the bottom piece, you grab the tab which is sticking out, you lift it up, and then you can also remove that one as well. The cabin filter is similar to the air filter, but instead of filtering air for the engine, it's filtering air coming into the cabin for the climate control system. Looking at this, you can see the difference between what a clean new one is meant to look like and what happens if you don't change your cabin filter for however many years or however many thousands of kilometers. The top of the cabin filter has a trench which lines up with a notch in the climate control system, so you know which side is up. The filter with the tab halfway up is the top one, and the filter with the tab at the top is the bottom one because it allows you to pull it up and out when removing it. But before we put them back in, we need to remove the door at the bottom to allow the bottom one to slide in. So you're going to get the bottom filter first and slide it in, and then followed by the top filter. Then replace the top door by sliding it into the slot at the top and closing the pin. The bottom door then uses that pin to line up with a loop to lock it into place. And now we're just connecting the glove box string back again by pulling that T-piece through the hole and then squeezing those sides to secure the glove box back into the dash again. We need to put the cover underneath the glove box back again. It just lines up with 2 slots at the back. Then you can push that plastic screw in and replace those 3 screws. And that's how you replace the engine air filter, fuel filter and cabin filter in a Hyundai Terracan Highlander diesel. Thanks for watching.